Hello, hello, my friends. Welcome to Adobe Live. I am here with our friend David Clark Jr. David, how we doing?
Doing well, man.
Nice. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing some awesome video editing, color grading, all sorts of fun tips, kind of showing you how to work with the new color mode and just talk about how to make editing videos. Did I kind of nail that? Is that right?
I feel like you nailed it. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Cool. So before we get into it, just letting you know, friends, I am checking out the chat. So I got YouTube right here. I got Behance. I see Jacob Paris in there. Jacob, thanks for joining us, my friends. Anybody else that is tuning with us live, feel free to say hello. The cool thing about catching us live is that you can interact with us. Otherwise, it's just a normal YouTube video that you just kind of have to watch. So we are live. This is why we love to do these things. Is if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, go ahead and put those in the chat. It's a safe space. We're forever students. No wrong or right questions. We're just here to learn and kind of work together. So, David, let me kind of kick it to you. I know we're going to start in Firefly Boards. So, what are we looking at here? I'm going to jump to your screen here.
Yeah. Basically, I just wanted to give a rundown and kind of a little bit on like a background on me and my career. Um, yeah, basically, I am a videographer, editor, film producer, and I started my career. I've been working professionally as an editor in pretty much all Adobe products for pretty much a decade now. But yeah, I started my career working for Monster Energy and or a company that worked for Monster Energy and made a lot of documentaries, big wave surfing, NASCAR, which we were just talking about, which is crazy. The documentary that this is, a lot of these are on Amazon Prime now, but this documentary that I worked on back in, man, this must have been 2018. But you were actually at the race that this whole documentary centers
Yeah,
on,
we
which is
were. Yeah, fun
wild.
fact: the Dale Earnhardt was probably, if not the most famous NASCAR driver. 2008, he unfortunately passed away in a kind of gnarly crash. But I was at that race. I went through a NASCAR phase. Me and my twin brother, and we flew out to the Daytona 500 where this took place. And yeah, that was a big deal when all that happened. So yeah, is that kind of what that documentary is about?
It's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much entirely what it's about. It's just kind of centers around that whole race and stuff, but really fun movie and really exciting story to work on and really obviously like pretty influential story. I mean, you were actually there to witness it, which is pretty crazy. But some supercross movies, I've done branded spots for things like Ferrari, the Special Olympics. I've worked for the Kelly Slater Surf Ranch as both like a videographer and editing with them as well. And then now I work for a clothing company and a bike company called Worldwide Cyclery and Kettle Mountain Apparel. So that's basically what we're going to be showing you is some branded content that we've done for both Kettle, the clothing brand side, and then Worldwide Cyclery, the bike shop side. That's for like a creative ad spot from like a YouTube video that we did for them.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, can't wait to get into it. And just so you know, friends, we are in Firefly Boards, and this template is readily available for you. So if you click on the description below, whether on YouTube or Behance, you can access this Firefly Boards template. So you'll click on the link, there'll be a remix button. Just make sure you hit that remix button, and then you can use this as kind of a mood board or a pre-production tool to ideate how you want to shoot to go. So it could be used for video, photo, for graphic design, illustration, anything. The whole point of Firefly Boards is just get in there, start ideating, and start generating on how essentially a project can take place. So very, very useful tool. And I think you kind of did this exact same thing, right, David? So
yeah.
how do we use boards for this?
Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously it's like we're doing a stream here, so just like kind of keeping everybody on task and, basically
Mm-hmm.
showing everybody what we're going to be working on. But I mean, honestly, as just like a tool to just kind of A, B, look at things, especially with coloring, where you want to pull up maybe I have a reference frame here, I have something here, which you'll see below. We've got some reference frames right here that we're going to be basically comparing our color to. I mean, what an amazing tool. And the fact that you can just take it anywhere with you, everything's stored in the cloud, it just makes things way easier than taking notes maybe on your notepad and then being like, oh, well, I was at the office and I'm working from home today. I don't have my notes with me. I don't know where everything's going to be. Keeps everything in one place. It makes life easy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So the cool thing about Firefly Boards is that you can access it in a browser, right? So same thing. If you had, let's say you're working on a local file, whether it's like Notes or OneNote, it's not synced to the cloud. You don't have to worry about any of that using Boards because you just go to the link, you sign in, and everything's kind of readily available for you from wherever you are. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, pretty sweet. So the stream basically that we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at basic versus creative coloring. Now, we have two projects that I'm basically going to be demoing kind of a color workflow in. When I talk about basic coloring, I just mean kind of a Rec 709, more or less, make things look like how your eyes see them for the most part. Um, Maybe ham them up a little bit. We want things to look nice on video, especially in
Yeah.
product marketing. And then on the other side, we're gonna be doing some creative coloring where it's like you can kind of take any direction you want with it, and maybe you're building some, filters and just different looks from scratch. So we're basically gonna be looking at both of those. So I think just for the sake of simplicity, we'll go ahead and start with the basic workflow.
Cool. Yeah.
And again, this is a product marketing video. So the video that I'm going to be demoing is basically it's called a PDP video, which a PDP is a product display page. If you go to like any website for like a clothing brand or for like a certain product, and they have the little video that explains like, oh, that this is what this product is. It's like this is something that would pop up there. Sometimes they can be cut into ads. For us, they're super, super useful videos, and they sell tons of product, which is really cool. I would have
And
never thought
are these living like on, are they like ads on social, or are they in the web, or like what, how are they,
everywhere.
and what platform are they getting the most traction in?
Yeah, so the way that we run our ads is that we both use Google, Meta, all these channels, which are really available to anybody. But yeah, they're just basically paid ads. The videos themselves, that which I'll pull it up right here, so you can kind of get like a certain look at what these guys look like. When they normally always start with a talking head, here's the product, a bunch of examples of like the product, all the product features. It talks about like our guarantee, lifetime repair program, and then a little bit of branding stuff at the very end. So they're just kind of like a short overview of like what a product's for. These, for the most part, are mostly designed to live on the website home, like on the product homepage. So it's
Gotcha.
like if you're gonna go look at, a certain product, it'll just pop up, explain what the product's all about. All the potential questions you could have would be answered.
Yeah, which is what you want, right? I mean, if you're checking out this product, you want it in real, like in a real video format to get a feel and look and to get educated on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially in a world where it's like things are increasingly moving digital and you're not going to be able to like go to the wholesaler and go and like actually hold the product and be able to feel how stretchy the waistband and stuff is. It's kind of nice to see somebody actually stretch it and see what it looks like.
Totally. That's a very great point. Let's go back to boards real quick. I kind of
Sure.
want to, I feel like you used this meme and I'm like, right, like the 3-layer meme. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's what's going on in this one?
So basically, when we're looking at kind of the overview on color mode, because obviously this is a beta program, and I
Hmm.
think it's possible that many of the people that will be watching this will be new to it. So we're just basically gonna be doing like an overview. So some of the things that we'll be demoing are, clip selections in the clip grid. We're gonna be talking about grouping, the operations and the functions that we'll actually use to color the footage. And then down here, it's basically like we've got a couple different levels in which you can actually color. And color mode makes it super easy on like what your approach is. And obviously, depending on what type of colorist you are or what type of editor or time constraints you have to work within, you can kind of do different things. Or even the direction that you have, right? Like sometimes you have a director that's like make things look super simple. Other times you'll like be able to get kind of crazy and nutty with it. But what's cool about this program is that it gives you the option on like, do you just want to make like some basic adjustments and just make like a little bit of changes, or do you want to go a little bit crazier and like use some of like the color space override and the color management window and adjustments and use modules if you wanted to, or if you want to go crazy God mode, you can build your own user presets and lots and everything from scratch, and we'll run through all of those things. That's basically like a couple of the different levels we'll be looking at.
That's so funny. I love this tier system. And I think this is a good thing to bring up, right? Like I remember when I first started editing and I already had client videos and I had to color correct it because I was getting log footage. And in a very naive sense, I was like, oh my God, I have to be a perfect colorist and color grade this. And over the months and the more I did it, I was like, no, you don't really need to be a professional colorist to be able to get videos out, right? Like it depends on what the end product is, on where it's going, and a lot of the times in my experience doing lifestyle marketing videos, like the level one lazy is essentially what you need to do. Is like, you wanted some basic intensity, you wanted to color accurate, look like Rec 709 and solid. You don't need to go super creative or whatnot. Like we weren't making a feature film every time. We just needed a good looking video.
Yeah, I mean, for the vast majority of people and vast majority of editors, I call this lazy as a joke, but I mean, like, really, this is going to be the world that most people are going to be
Yeah.
existing, especially
Agreed.
like in
Agreed.
modern times, right? Like, it's the same deal for me. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't go to film school. I'm not a pro colorist. Like, even like when like Lumetri scopes pop up, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm looking at here. I know which lighters to grab, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, But what's cool about color mode in particular is it really kind of shows you like how different tools are affecting the actual pixels in the image. So it makes you feel a little bit like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm using a
I
graph
could
to
do
pull things
this.
around.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
could
just
go to
pulling
urban
sliders.
legend. I could do God mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so but yeah, dude, like in the modern times, like film editors are expected to do everything. Whereas like
Mm,
it just
yeah.
wasn't the case. Like I mean, even probably just like 10 years ago, it was like in the studio that I was working at, which was like a small studio, it didn't have a ton of money to work with. It was like, okay, I might have gotten footage and I might have like, been like kind of doing more of like assistant editor roles, like assembling things, putting them together, then sending them to like a pro editor who would polish things, and then sending that to a colorist, and then it would go from the colors to the delivery people, and then it would go to like mastering, and it would do, and obviously this is for like more for like a feature film sort of thing. But even in the feature film world, like as I spent 7 years working at that company. By the end of it, it was just kind of like, okay, you can do all of the delivery, you guys can do all of the color, you can do all this. And I think that's not unique to me. Like I think that's just the industry now. It's like the demand for like the individual editor to be able to do every single role is like more important now, more than ever.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Especially in the content creator economy, right? Like more people are picking up video editing tools, and it's just, you just don't need that level of mastery for each piece of content, right? Like you just want to get content out. So again, it all depends on like what the end product is. Like sometimes you do need to go that route, but for a lot of stuff that lives on social or we're just trying to educate people in PDP videos, you can kind of be a one-man band in some of this stuff, right?
100%. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's totally what this stream is for the one man band that's like, okay, how can I level up my abilities here a little bit? And like that, I think I kind of feel like and honored a little bit, like in terms of like our generation, is that like Premiere as a program is growing with us. Like that's how I
Yeah,
felt
that's
in
a good way to
my
put it. That's a great way to
career
put it.
is like even just 10 years ago, like the functionality then compared to now, it's like all the tools that we have now. And it's like, oh, you don't have to jump between, After Effects and all these different programs, which are still super useful. It's really just that, like, okay, well, now you can do everything in one program. It's like, yeah, I think for people in our generation and our like, tier of, editors are just really like a massive group of people. The program's growing with us, and this is just kind of like another step in the process for us to add another tool in our belt, so to speak.
Yeah. Great
So,
point. So that's a good segue for a question that we just have pop up, and then after that we could just jump right into the project. But let's say P Gardecki is asking, do you think the addition of vector scopes to Camera Raw will bring Lightroom closer to Premiere? So kind of talking about like Premiere's growing with us. You don't need to jump into different apps. Do you think Lightroom will replace Premiere? I have my thoughts, but I'll let you take that on.
um, man, I wish I could act like I'm an expert on vector scopes, but I can't say that I am. I mean, like, I think in general, like, is like Lightroom and Premiere, like the way that like you're controlling the actual images, are they getting like more similar? Like, is that maybe a good question to answer
Yeah, yeah,
here,
that's
or
a
like
great
an
way to put it.
adjacent question?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think so. But like as far as like one replacing the other, I think it's like because and you'll see like the interfaces are like they're different. Like the way that color modes, and I think like the intention of color modes is like for it to be both like approachable for the beginner, but also like recognizable and incredibly functional for like the expert. I think like that like ethos is the same in both programs, but the way that you'll interact with the two of them are going to be extremely different. And so
Totally.
it's like
Yeah.
maybe the mindset of using both of them like is similar. Like you can take the same approach to both, but like, but they are going to be like fairly different. And I think like they'll require like slightly different skill sets for sure.
Right. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head on what I think as well. I mean, I think there are two different tools for the job. Like Lightroom is more photo based, video or Premiere is more video based. But I think something that's really cool that Adobe is doing is they are making the way the tools that work inside of each app closer, where they almost harmonize with one another. So essentially, if let's do the analogy of language. Like if you can speak Premiere and speak vector scope and how to grade images, then you can speak that same language in Lightroom, right? And vice versa. So it helps you kind of pick up the other app better. But at the end of the day, they're two different tools for two different jobs, in my opinion. Like if I'm
Yeah.
working with video, I'm gonna stick with Premiere. If I'm working on editing raw images and batches and need to edit them quickly, I'm gonna go to Lightroom.
Yeah, and I think the purpose of like color mode being added, like it's not just an additional app that they've created where it's just kind of like, well, you can take your edit and color it in this
Hmm.
new program. Because in a lot of ways, it feels like that. Like even the screens are going to look a lot different from,
Right.
like previous where like Lumetri is really like in effect, you just kind of drop on a clip and you have like a little window and you can kind of use it. Now it's like a whole different panel. So it feels like a
Hmm.
different app. Like it's an app size release inside of Premiere
Yeah.
where like but the intention is keep everything in one application, which like as a one-man band and like some of the like works, it's just me. It's like, I mean, what a godsend. You're like, thank God I don't have to go jump between apps and do like, export XMLs and EDLs and
Yeah,
like try to figure
that's
it all
I
out.
agree. That's made our job way easier. Like I used to have to go into After Effects a lot with Premiere, and I mean a lot of the tools that you can have from Premiere, as you know, without being a motion graphic artist and an expert in that field, you can do in Premiere. So, yeah, I mean all this talk of Premiere. I mean let's
I
jump
know.
into it. Let's see
Yeah,
what
let's
we're
jump in.
doing. Yeah.
So this is my project right here, and these are the way that I like to set up my projects. I've got like, our project panel over here, viewer, editor, and this is in the edit window. For those that are new to color mode, you'll see that up here in this upper left-hand corner, color is the new panel that we're going to be working in. So whereas before you'd have I'll just click on a random clip here. You'd have your Lumetri color window right here and you'd interact with this guy right here. It's no longer going to be that. Now, what we're looking at is we're going to have an entire color panel. So this is the color panel. If you've been working in this program, you'll be fairly familiar with this. I mean, this is the default way that these panels are set up. I think the default was great. Um, and when you click on this color tab, you're going to get whichever sequence is pulled up in your timeline. That's going to be the one that you're interacting with. So you can't click between your sequences, which is fine. It keeps you focused on whatever your clips are in this area. Now, obviously, these are colored clips. Um, in these clips right here, this is an edit that I did using Lumetri. And I think for a lot of editors that are moving from Lumetri and they're like, okay, I want to give color modes a whirl, which I was one of those people. Like, this is basically what we're going to be looking at is how we can translate the way that we talk to Lumetri and bring it over to color mode over here. So here's what we've did is on this side, we've got a fully colored completed edit that which we colored in Lumetri. But over here, I've stripped them all away with the exception of this guy right here. And this is all log footage. This was shot on a mix of Canon C70, also a Sony FX3. So we're gonna have to be doing a little bit of color matching as well. You can see the differences in these clips are these green ones right here. These were shot on a Sony. Then these red ones right here were shot on the Canon. And basically, let's kind of go ahead and give it a start. Now, over here in our Firefly boards, and again, we were talking about this a second ago, just having the ability for reference images, super useful. We've got some reference color images, so we don't have to click between both of our sequences and bounce back and forth between our screens. Right here, we've just got our images, and this is basically what we're going for. This, to me, is a real life look on what these products would look like in person. And
Yep.
so here's what our approach would basically look like. I'm going to pop over here. This is the one that we're going to be working in. This is our color mode guy. And this right here is going to be our panels. Now, again, if you've been working in this program, you're probably pretty familiar with these adjustment tools. These are your basic tools. And then you've also got your LUT tools that you can work with. This is another adjustment. And then right here, we've got our style modules. Now, obviously, this one is already colored, but I'm going to go ahead and actually, let's pop over here because this is probably a better way to explain this. So when you get your sequence, by default, this is right here is your clip grid. So this is all of the clips that you have kind of all organized in order of however they're in your sequence. So if we scroll through this guy, you can see it highlights these clips in order here on the right-hand side of the screen. So, which is nice for us if you want to go ahead and edit in order of like the way that your sequence was shot. Or if you're like me and you're going and shooting on a bunch of different locations, and it's like sometimes you shoot here, sometimes you shoot here, and you want the look to be cohesive across a couple different locations, what you can do is you can sort these clips or that's a filter. We can sort these clips by time code. So what it's going to do is it's going to sort these clips in order of when they were shot. And this is a really, really easy way to basically be like, okay, from here to, oh wow, there's a lot of clips here, all the way down to basically right here. These were all shot in the same location. And so not only do we have to not, or I mean, you can if you want to copy and paste effects, adjustments, everything else across all these clips. We can see is what I've done here is I can click here. Let's go find the end of this little grouping. That's this guy right here. Shift, click, and it's going to make a selection. Right here, you can add your adjustments to the selection. And now you've got a little group, and I can name these location one. So that's how I would do these. And so if we go back to the beginning of this edit right here, you can see I've already done that with a couple of these clips right here. This right here is our studio shot, our talking head. And so you can see I've named these two clips right here. It highlights the little number right here, talking head. And so I've already made like a couple little adjustments here. I'm going to go ahead and disable these so you guys can kind of get an idea of exactly what we're doing. And so this is what it's going to look like directly at a camera. Obviously, this is log footage. This was shot on a Sony in a studio. And here is basically how I would do this. Now, you can adjust this clip individually right here, but we want to adjust both of these clips at the same time. It's shot in a studio, lighting's the same. We want it to be the same. So and again, this is basic color. This is just like, make it look like reality. We're on level 1 lazy right now from this from
the
this
tiers
graphic
we were
right here.
referencing. Yeah.
So what we're gonna be looking
No.
at is like just a basic and intensity adjustment, and then some adjustments on top. So basically, when we hit this little plus button right here, this is where we can add our functions. I'm gonna add a LUT to this group, and I already have a LUT loaded in right here. This is just like a standard Rec 709 LUT. And when I drop this guy on here, it looks okay. I like it. I don't love it. But before you were limited to, obviously, once you dropped a LUT on, it just lived as a LUT. But now what we can do is we can either increase by clicking this intensity button and just dragging my cursor upwards, like literally, I have my mouse right here, dragging it upwards or dragging it down on the mouse pad. And you can basically change the opacity and it treats it more as a filter. And so
that's big.
Dude, if all color modes did was this, I'd be like, life is complete. Honestly, like this is such a great tool that
Yeah.
it truly is just
I agree. There's someone in the chat asking, do you miss the older approach with Lumetri and adjustment layers? And I think as you're explaining and what we're seeing it is like that's kind of something we're used to. But once you realize how this function, it almost makes, in my opinion, this better than just working with adjustments layers, right? Because with adjustments layers, I mean, you would put it, like even if you want an adjustment layer in certain part of the clips, you would have to cut it. You would have to like make sure the adjustment layer, like how many times have you rendered a video and an adjustment layer went past, and then you could see the filter like bleed into another section. Like this almost is a level up on what adjustment layers should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, I mean, maybe in some ways, yes, but I think for like most applications, like, dude, like the way that a lot of these edits are going to work is that it's like you're going to make an edit from start to finish, like colored, mixed, everything, send it to your client, and then your client is obviously going to come back with changes. And so it's like in a perfect world where it's like you're just making one edit, you're sending it off, then it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like you can do your adjustment layers and life's easy and blah, blah, blah. But like,
Yeah.
we all have to make changes. And the second that you start making changes and it's like you're in a hurry, we all live in a world where it's like we're all being demanded for our time and time is money. And like, especially in a freelance sense, like you want to get as many edits done as you can, as fast as you can. It's so easy to be like, oh, I forgot, oh, where's my cursor? I forgot to scroll up. Ay vey. Over here. I forgot to scroll up and I missed my
Oh my
adjustment
goodness,
layer
the
because it's
hidden
hidden.
adjustment. Yeah, when you have like 15 tracks, that's a great point.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like once they start, like once your
That's funny.
tracks start getting playing, and this is a simple edit. You'll see, like in a minute, we're gonna pull up
Yeah.
a different edit, like how gnarly these timelines can get, and all of a sudden it's like you're sliding these tiny clips around. Yeah, I mean, short answer, all this to say, no, I don't miss it. I think this is way better.
I laugh because I've done that before where I was like, oh, I forgot I did 5 adjustment layers for like a color grade and I missed one. And then, yeah, we were like in, V6 and it works for simple edits. I
Yeah.
get that thinking, but when you start to get gnarly edits, I mean, you'll see how this is more scalable, if that makes sense.
100%. In fact, like I think I've even been my workflow has kind of even followed the precedent to this, in that like I really stopped using adjustment layers almost entirely. I really only use them on delivery because it's like once you export something as an H.264, you're going to lose like a little bit of contrast and
Right.
saturation. So
Yeah.
I'd
The
really just add
saturation.
one at the end.
Yeah.
And so that's really like mainly what I was using these guys
Yeah.
for. Like I would almost always apply my Lumetri effects directly to the clip. And then if I had
Hmm.
clips in the same scene, I would copy and paste them across. But then like say it's like I'm way over here and it's like, oh, one of these clips back here, I think it was a similar location. And now I'm like trying to find it and copy and paste. And it's like, you get to the end of your edit and you're so burnt out that you're like, I don't care anymore. Like,
It doesn't matter. Uh,
yeah. So this system now I'm such a big fan of, and particularly like just being able to sort this by like look by time code,
hmm
your clip grid, and adjust the intensity of your LUTs just makes life so unbelievably easy. So coming back over here to this guy, I'm gonna add just a little bit of intensity because I don't want like this full filter on here. And now I have this right here. Like this is actually like a fairly decent image. It's obviously lacking in like, some saturation, some other places. I'm gonna go ahead and add, um, let's go ahead and add an adjustment. Now these are just like our basic tools. We'll get over to kind of the styles in a minute. But in here, we're gonna have our contrast. You drag left to right, it's going to change your black point. You drag up and down, it's just going to change your contrast. Now, I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast here. I might add like a little bit of exposure. One thing that I'm noticing is that like, and what I did when I was over here, I'll come back over here, is when I'm using, uh, Lumetri, I'm a big curves guy. I know everyone does contrast a little bit differently. I really love curves because I just feel like you can just grab specific parts of your image just in terms of luminosity and drag them up and down. If you just want to crush the blacks, you just grab one part of this graph, you can lock everything else off. But it also shows you how like all your pixels kind of have to be cohesive. You can see how it affects the entire image. So I'm big on using that. Um, Obviously, since this basic tool right here is just going to imagine this graph as being a line, and it makes an S when you're adding, it makes more of an S when you're adding contrast. It's just going to pull those points further apart. So you don't get a ton of control here. But what you can get is you can just grab, and the image even highlights it as you go along, your shadows or your highlights. I'm going to grab my shadows. I'm just going to grab the exposure and drag it down. It's basically the same as grabbing the lower part of your curve and
Yeah.
dragging it downward.
Yeah, it's kind of
So,
targeting that, when you're looking at the graph, it's like the bottom left shadows,
correct.
middle and midtones. It's just kind of targeting that with some slider action.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we can go ahead and do that. Obviously, this is now like a pretty deflated image. I'm just going to go ahead and add some saturation back here. And I'm just going to make a couple other basic adjustments here. So this looks okay, but our temperature's a little warm for being shot in a studio. I'm going to go ahead and drag this guy down. And for these talking head studio shots, for me, like the real, and we shoot a ton of these in the same studio all the time. The real like litmus test on like, okay, is my color right? Is I'm looking at this back wall right here. This is like, which weirdly is actually if you're, a film student, or if you like work in, like pro color, whatever, you're gonna have like your whatever percent gray that you put up against.
Yeah, middle
This,
gray or yeah.
yeah, yeah, this is effectively that, but for us, so I actually kind of get to keep it. When I go
Did you
over
guys
here
do
to
that
my
purposely? Like, did you make that wall like a middle gray color so it makes post product, or is that by happen chance?
It was just by happen chance. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And it's
Yeah.
like it's just like a weird textured wall. And yeah, it's like I was like, yeah, it actually makes a decent background for for a
That's
studio. It's
awesome.
literally just like the
I mean,
smallest.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, you could like use that as an eyedropper for like what your white balance is,
A hundred
essentially.
percent.
Yeah,
A
that's
hundred
great.
percent. So you can see I've got these two different talking head videos right here. These are from two different days, two different times.
Ah,
Um, so you can see the background right here is really kind of like our litmus test. I'm just going to go ahead and it's a little too red for us. I'm just
yeah, a
going to
little too
drag.
magenta.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little too
that's
magenta.
good.
Now,
Yeah.
obviously, and I'll just show you with my mouse right here. If you push upwards, you're going to increase temperature, downwards,
Mhm.
decrease, left to right with your mouse. And I'm not clicking. I'm just, once I click this tool, I'm just dragging it back and forth, just the whole mouse. I'm going to drag this guy over to the left. We're going to change our tints a little bit greener. Now, our wall looks good here, but now Jeff, our subject here, his skin looks a little bit green for me. So what's kind of nice is you've got this color shift tool right here. Now, if you were in Lumetri before, and again, this is obviously beta, and so there's going to be some missing parts here. These graphs would typically show up in typical, but under the hood, there's a little bit of changes. They're obviously working on things in here, but we have our graphs in here. I think we've got
Mhm.
hue versus. Is he going to tell me? I think
Hubris.
this Luma or hue
Uh,
versus Satch. You've got hue versus Luma. That's what all these ones are going to be right here. If you want to change your hues, you would have to go and either add a dropper, go and select a part, like use the whole graph. It was kind of a pain. I honestly never loved using these.
I didn't either. It was almost like it was hard to comprehend. It's like you got to get like 3 points and then like drag it, but like isolate the point. So it wasn't the most intuitive. I agree. It's like I used it when I had to, but they weren't something that I was like, hey, I'm very comfortable using this tool.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And so what's really nice about this new approach is that we've got it's called color shift, and it's actually going
Mhm.
to give you a couple colors that are already sampled for you. These just come with every single clip. You'll see as we like click among our clips, it's going to give us different swatches here.
Nice.
But for these guys, we basically it's selecting the primary colors that it's seeing in this image. Obviously, it's like we've got a bunch of gray and then a bunch of skin toned colored things. So that's mainly what we're looking at in this image. Or you can still choose to use the dropper and be like, I just want to affect the skin. Now it's going to gray out everything that isn't in this selector, which is nice because then you get to see whatever effects in the image. It's like, say I just want to affect the color of these pants. It's like, well, now you can actually see, oh, well, it's going to affect this hat as well. And maybe even the
Yeah.
green in this hat. So you can kind of know like what you're affecting here. Now, these sliders are going to be mostly the same. I'm just going to go ahead and increase the saturation on his skin. But I'm going to go back over here in my reference image. He's actually a little bit yellower is the image that we like to get than what we're seeing here. And so you can actually change the hue right here. And you can shoot left to right. You can affect the range. And then up and down, you're going to change that tone. And so really kind of neat way. If I'm going to go upwards right here, we obviously make them a little bit redder. I can drag this guy a little bit further down. Let's decrease this range a little bit so we're really only affecting the skin tones. We can slowly drag this guy down, find like a nice balance of what looks like a natural skin tone.
Nice.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit of contrast. Now, again, we were talking about these contrast tools. We don't get a ton of control from this because this is really just color and contrast. It's just a generic tool. So I'm going to go over here. Let's add a group style. Now, we've got user presets. We'll kind of come back to these a little bit, but we've also got our modules. So it gives us a couple different options here. I'm going to go with the contrast kit because I just want contrast. And over here, it's going to give us a couple different tools to work with. So basically over here, we've got, this is our compression. Now this is way more visually going to look a lot more like our curves. What's the word? These are going to look a lot more like our curves. Now, if I drag it upwards, we're going to increase our contrast. If I drag it downwards, it's going to decrease. And then if we drag it left to right, it's going to change the balance of this guy this way. Now, I
Yeah.
just want to add a little bit of contrast, just add a little bit of control.
Yeah, and
So
you can see it's actually I mean it's literally making that S curve like that coveted S curve that we all know how to make with curves and arguably what most people use the curves for, but it's
yeah.
cool to see that in real time as you're adjusting those sliders.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just cool. Like, and before, obviously it's like just to really drive home the point here. We never had like this is just a graph in black space. Like I don't know what it's doing to the pixels, so to speak, and like maybe to most people it won't matter. But I mean, like as somebody that's like trying to get better at this craft, which I think most of us are, especially if you're watching this video, is you want to understand what you're doing to the image better so you can be a better colorist. Now, colorists, if you went to school for it and everything else, and like, or just like are a student of the game, like you're gonna know what these scopes mean. For me, I'm like, I don't really know. I just drag around to the image looks good, right? But over here, we get to see them. So it's like it's kind of unavoidable in a sense. Like you really get to see, okay, I've got a lot of reds in the midtones. And like you can kind of see like where the center of your image is. It's kind of like a darker image. And so it's like you really get a sense of like what you're doing to the pixels. And it's like just by exposure, I'm gonna actually be working a lot with these scopes, which is really, really neat. Like it's kind of like something I would have never done if I wasn't like kind of like forced to look at it. And now that like I get to see it, it's like kind of like, okay, cool. I get to understand what
Hmm.
I'm doing to my image better. I'm like really grateful for that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a tiny bit of contrast. So it's just like, let's zero this guy out. And you can see up in the upper left, it might not look like I'm doing much, but it's giving you percentage.
Yeah, you could
Oh,
see it. It's like you're at 17, 19, 20.
exactly. So I'm just like, again, like I'm just trying to crush the blacks just a hair. Let's go down to 15%. So again, like, in Lumetri, it would give you a numerical value. And I'm kind of aware that it's like, okay, when I export to H.264, I know that I got to add 20 points of contrast. It's like, well, it's just kind of like adapting these numbers.
Hmm.
They'll actually be quite easy. So when I look at this image, it's pretty darn close, dude. Like,
Yeah, and this is a rendered image, like you were
of
saying.
course,
To be fair, so what we're seeing in Premiere, like it's gonna be a little bit different than what we render and what we like can actually use to put on boards. But I mean, yeah, I'd say this is pretty darn close,
pretty
man.
darn close. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah,
even if I add this guy right here, this is just like
that was the
you
S
know,
curve, right?
this guy, this is actually the adjustment layer. So adjustment layers, again, I guess maybe going back to our homie that asked the question is like, it I don't miss adjustment layers, but they will still be relevant and they'll still be
Hmm.
around because it's like you're going to export to H.264. You want to retain that color. I add a little bit back here. Now, again, I'm not a pro colorist. There might be a way so that when you export things that they stay. I remember talking to editors and everybody has like kind of like a different theory. Oh, if you go into color management, you can do this and you can actually retain them if you change the color. So I'm like, brother, make my life easy. Just drop
Yeah, and
adjustment.
it to add a layer of complication, it also depends like your operating system, right? Like if you export in Premiere and you look at QuickTime Player specifically, it's going to show you a different rendered video than if you were to play it on Windows Media Player or VLC. So that's not doing anybody any favors.
Or different monitors even. You know what
The
I mean?
monitors, I mean, that's a whole thing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's everybody's got their own standard. Like I know mine's gonna live on an iPhone and social, so if it looks good like on an iPhone rendered for me, I'm like that looks solid to me, right? But it depends on where the input's gonna go.
100%. Yeah. And dude, I mean, if you want to get even in the weeds, you could be like,
Let's
well,
go.
newer phones use OLEDs, which have deeper
That's
black. But if
true.
people are
Yeah,
watching them during the day, then it's like you could split hairs all day long.
you
Like,
can. Yeah,
I
great
mean, as an
point.
editor, you're just like, how can you make this as good for the application that I'm, presuming it will be watched in? And for me,
Yeah,
it's iPhones on social media. And for me, an adjustment layer is the perfect opportunity.
yeah.
So we could obviously run through all these clips and kind of adapt this whole thing, but I really want to get to the creative color flow because that really kind of dives into style modules. Um,
Let's do it. Yeah, and a quick time check. We got about I'd say 16, 17 minutes left, so we got
cool.
some time.
Yeah, perfect. So this is what I would call basic color. Like when it comes to like just coloring things to make them look like reality, it's like Jeff looks like a normal person. This is pretty much the product looks like in real life. This I would be really happy with, and I feel like the clients or the producers that are working on this video would also be like, yes, this is a Rec 709 thing. And it's like you really have got like a couple different levels. And honestly, if all you wanted was to just drop on your LUT, leave the intensity as is, make a couple little adjustments, you could have done that. But it's like obviously we dove into styles to just kind of add like a little bit of flavor here. I'm gonna go ahead and close this project. We're gonna pop over to let's close project. Let's pop over to this guy. So, for a bit of context, I've isolated this portion of what is a larger video. Now, this is a video that went live on YouTube for us about a year ago. This right here is basically like we call them bike checks. It's like a couple of the guys in our shop talking about one of the bikes they have. Ignore the shot. I don't love this shot, but it's basically a bunch of stuff talking about like one of the, just like a cool bike. But anyway, in these, we had an element ad spot. So when we watch this video, it's just basically like a silly like
Element. This isn't your average electrolyte mix. We're talking sodium, potassium, magnesium, the holy trinity of hydration.
so that's basically what it is. And so we just basically made like we're just like came up with the idea in studio. We're like, let's psych element out and let's go ahead and just like go so nuts on making this which like the only requirement we have is like, hey, mention it in the video for about a minute. And I was just like, dude, we've got a couple days. Let's just go in the studio and just like make a whole thing. And so we did, and we like had, our guy Jared lay down. This is our
Goodness.
our announcer.
Get a
You're our,
free
you know, our
8-count
host.
sample pack of Element's most popular drink mix flavors.
So anyway, we just had some fun with it. And so this is really an opportunity where it's like, okay, you can really kind of get crazy with the color. We've got some crazy blues and reds and all kinds of stuff because we really want to drive home just this idea of hydration. Um, and so I've isolated just this portion right here. And actually, going back again to the adjustment layers question, like, dude, the amount of like tracks on this video.
Oh yeah, the sound design. I mean, you thought you could have a lot of video tracks.
Oh man,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It gets
yeah.
hectic.
That's a nice looking timeline.
Yeah, I try to stay fairly organized, but anyway, yeah, we've taken this is our ad spot right here. And this was all colored in Lumetri right here. So these are all of these adjustments, everything else. And then let's go ahead and take this version, which I have removed all those attributes on with the exception of these guys right here. So basically, here's what we're gonna be doing. Let's take a couple of these frames and just basically try to like have some fun with it and see kind of what direction we can go. So this is kind of our main shot right here. Let's go ahead and start with this guy. That's this one. So we're gonna go ahead and pop over here into color. And again, I'm gonna come over here and I like to sort these by time code. So that way it's like I can color individual moments here. Now, I recreated this color right here that we did from Lumetri, and I basically adapted it over here to color modes, like translate it, so to speak. And so we can see some of the adjustments that we made. In the shadows, we dropped the exposure, made some contrast adjustments, some temperature adjustments, some texture and sharpness as well to kind of see like really like kind of the grittiness here. Over here, we did the same as we did before. We added a LUT, we decreased the intensity a little bit, and then we added a contrast kit. This is really similar to what we just saw. But I'm gonna go over here. I'm just gonna work on this one clip individually. And obviously, we can group these ones together because this is the same scene and we can work on them together, but we're getting creative here. We're trying different things. Let's go ahead and go on a clip to clip basis. I'm gonna add a clip style. And over here, we've got your user presets. Now, if you all really want to get in the weeds and be like, I want to move away from LUTs. I'm trying to get better at color. What you can do is you can create presets using these style modules. So it's like you can add, say I want to use color and contrast. I want color shift. Or let's start with color and contrast. You can add color shift. You can add as many of these modules as you want all in one place. And then what you do is once you make all your adjustments and be like, oh, I love it, you can save this guy. You can save it, name it, and then you can add it as a preset. So that's what I'm going to go over here and do. I already made one of these. So this was shot on a Sony. So this is a S-Log3 Rec 709 conversion LUT. I'm going to go ahead and add this guy. And this gives us like a real nice basis of color. Now, obviously, when we were adding the LUT before, you can just decrease the intensity. This is for people that want to get more in the weeds. Now, over here, I've got all of our kits. These are the style modules that I've already added to these guys. Now, this is just from scratch. I can toggle these guys off to kind of see like what kind of effects these guys are adding. So to remove these guys, obviously you just have the log image, but we're gonna add them all back on. Just take a look at what we did. Now this is just, a couple contrast adjustments, saturation, all of these things. This is what I feel is like a pretty decent Rec 709 conversion LUT. It's a little cold. Obviously, here's the stylized image.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and start here, use this as like our starting point. Now, I feel like this is a little bit too blue for my liking. I just want to go ahead and like make a little adjustment here. We can go ahead and change these right here. Now, also, one thing that we didn't touch on before, because again, when you're doing basic color, you're not really going to change your balance that much. We can really go stylized here. It's like, say you want to give yours the Mexico filter. You can go ahead and add.
The warm, like sepia tone.
Yeah, the Mexico filter, the whiplash filter, whatever. You can go over here and like do that. And now we have like a totally different look. You can go over here and add these. Now, I never used balance very much because I didn't feel like there's a great tool for it in Lumetri. But dude, right here, this gives you such a good visual of exactly what you're doing to your image. And this is just, and again, I'm just dragging my cursor here in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
it really is just kind of like, and you can see all the colors that we have at our disposal. This is what we're dragging around.
There we go. What filter would that be? The green one? The
This is the
alien.
hacker. I'd
The
call this
hack.
one the
There we go. The
hacker.
Matrix one, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
This is the
See somebody
Neo.
typing. Or
Oh
like a
man.
submarine.
Uh,
So we can kind of like make some little adjustments here. It's like say, okay, I want to go with like, yeah, let's stick with the green vibe. We're going with like I think this is like a lemon lime flavor. Like we're just gonna like drag it over here. Let's make this like a little bit green. I want to change like over here, go over here, add contrast. This is just some basic adjustments. I'm gonna go over here, increase our contrast. I don't like what it's doing to the highlights here. So I'm gonna come over here. Or actually, this is actually a good time to show. So these style modules are, even though they look so similar, obviously like all these tools are gonna be the same right here in the adjustment option. It's actually, the controls are just a little bit different. And what you can do is you can continue to add more color and contrast, or add more, which one do I want? This guy, color and contrast, and be like, okay, I'm going to affect a different part of the image and do whatever. You can add as many of those guys as you want, or you can go over here to adjustment. This adjustment window is still super, super powerful because it gives you the option of choosing different parts of the image. So it's like,
right.
I want to kill, like this is a black backdrop right here. I can still kind of see little wrinkles here. There's a little bit of haze from this light that's just off screen. I want to crush these guys. Let's make that super dramatic. So there we go. And so then we're like still isolating parts of our image. We're not affecting our highlights anywhere else. Or it's
And
like,
that was by picking the shadows, right? At the
correct,
bottom
yeah,
there. Yeah,
picking
so
the
that was the
shadow.
targeted area. Yeah, and it's cool. It kind of shows you what it's affecting. So
Exactly, yeah.
nice.
And then same deal over here. It's funny when you look at the highlights one, the blacks are so dark now. It's like you can't really see what it's highlight. But it's like I don't really love how bright it is over here in his hand. I can just go ahead and drag the exposure down. It's really only going to affect that portion right there.
Right.
So we've got this image. So we're using a combination of these two right here. And let's drag along here. So this is a high-speed shot, but we still have some motion blur right here. I really want to see like how like the grittiness of this guy right here. We can go over here to the texture window. We can add some texture. Same deal, dragging upwards and downwards to increase or decrease. And you can really see the detail right here on the packaging. You can really kind of start to see the detail here. You know, I want to add just a touch of sharpness. And you kind of get like a really, really different look right here. Now, obviously, it's like I don't love like the look of this image. I kind of like a little bit more straight up. But like if you're kind of going for a stylistic look, this is how you would do it. Like you can use like a combination of all these different tools. So
This isn't your average
this came out
electrolyte
great,
mix.
man. I like it.
We're talking,
yeah,
it's like a spa day.
really neat. And so here's the beauty of this guy too, is that like say you're still if you use Lumetri or Lumetri.
Tomato, tomato. I mean, I say Lumetri. You know, like, on
Lumetri.
Behance, yeah, totally different, left field from from the world you live in. But yeah, I think Lumetri, we get it.
If you are coming over from Lumetri and you are a copy and paster across all your clips, don't fret. You can still go ahead and whoops. I accidentally hit the wrong key there. You can still collect all these guys, copy, and paste it right here.
There we go. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. So it still works in that same way. In the last stream, we talked a little bit about like sequence styles. Now this affects the entire sequence as a whole. I'm not going to use these because we already obviously have some like colored clips here, but if we're starting from scratch, we could color this entire sequence all at once using like one LUT.
Yeah. I really like how this one turned out, by the way, this like really stylized crushed blacks one. And it's crazy to see how the raw image looked and then, you know, how much you really make the brights and darks, like really tone them opposite way. And it just looks like a solid ad, dude. Like it looks really good.
Yeah, kind of an interesting look. I mean, you can really tell like you know, the grittiness and kind of like the texture in these guys as you jump around. One thing I noticed the other day when I was working with this tool is, and one of the things I really love, I just think this is so clever, is in the filtering, I only mention this just because I just noticed it right now, is obviously when you sort something by sequence, it's going to go in chronological order. You can see it kind of just jumping from clip to clip. This is exactly how it was intended. But obviously, you know, very few things are shot in chronological order. They're shot like scene to scene. So as we organize by clip timecode, I say I want to scroll around this clip right here to make sure like it's happy. What it actually does is it's going to jump around the timeline. it's literally sorting the clips in the program monitor as I drag along here by um time code. So
Okay,
when we
that's
drag this
cool.
guy around, it's going to do that. Also, say I'm clicked on this clip right here. I hit play. Come on now. This is the order in which it was shot. So one of like the really clever, I just think that this is so clever. Like it
Okay, so
could have,
you're scrubbing based on the filter that you selected, right? The time code. Like it's not referencing a sequence that was uh ordered differently.
correct. It's
Yeah, that's
reorganizing them
cool.
by time
Yeah,
codes. That
by
way it's
time
like,
code. That's cool.
yeah, so that way it's like, say you have like a clip that you shot at the beginning of the day here, and then right next to it in the actual sequence, you've got a clip that you shot at the end of the day. It's
Right.
not like you drag here and then it's like you hit that other clip and now all of a sudden you're way over here at the end of the timeline and then you're like, oh no, and gotta like
Damn.
bounce all around. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you can literally go
That's very
right to the
clever.
heads and ends of your clip. I also wanted to focus on this one a little bit. I already made these adjustments right here because this is we got a little nutty with this clip, and I'll kind of show right here a little bit. Let's disable these guys. Toggle. So this is the way this clip came in camera. Now, I really wanted to get the sense that it was changing the makeup of the water, which it doesn't. It's just that it comes out clear. But I really wanted to get like a stylized look in here. And so what I did is, and I'm gonna untoggle this guy. So first thing that we did was we added that same, or actually here, a better way to show this. We added the same style module for my presets. We added the same preset right here that has these modules already built in. And this gave us like a baseline. And what I did in here was go ahead and go back to this guy. I just went in here and added more and more adjustments. So same way that you can kind of increase, decrease the intensity of your LUT, you can also go in here and just like tweak individual portions of, it treats it more like a filter is not a good word for it. Um, it's just like a preset that you can control every individual aspect of it. This, if anything, is a lot more like Lightroom in the sense it's like if you save a preset in Lightroom and it has it in the sidebar, it just drags your sliders
Right.
to
Yeah.
wherever they are.
Hmm.
And this is one of the things that I absolutely love is that I'm like, as like an image editor, and I think for like many years, I was kind of almost like felt like limited by, I think if people ever felt limited by Lumetri, it was just kind of like, well, if you did photo and you worked in Lightroom, you're like, God, this editing program is so good. Why can't we just translate this over to video? It's like, why does it feel like a different skill set? This is where like that, what we were describing earlier, like that ethos,
Yeah. Full circle moment.
full
Love it.
circle moment.
Great callback.
But we made a couple little adjustments in here.
Yeah.
Every time you see a little dot underneath here, this is like where an adjustment was made.
This is I was gonna ask you if that like different color looking powder, if that was like a dye or if you edited that.
No, we
And
edited it in.
you
It was
edited it.
complete.
So how did you target and get different colors?
It was entirely right here using this color shift
This
window. So if
okay.
I disable this window, you'll see that like, I mean, there's like a little bit of like a blue
The
hue
blue,
here.
yeah.
But it's really mainly from like the color of the bottle and from
Right.
like decreasing the temperature. Oops. But over here, it's as simple as using the color shift tool, which is right here in your adjustment as well, you know?
Mm.
What you can do is you can just select individual portions of your image and just be like, I love this blue. Let's go freaking crazy with this blue. Let's change it to
There we
green.
go. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and this is like, say you want the Gatorade look. Oh, you
Yeah.
remember the old videos of people sweating Gatorade?
Yeah. So in the color Gatorade black and white. There it is.
There it is, right here. I mean,
There it
it's like it
is.
really is that simple. I mean, it's like just selecting individual parts of your image. It again, really similar to kind of the way that like Lightroom does it, right?
Yeah.
In like being able to
Um,
just kind of like use a dropper, just kind of like select individual hues, and it's just like a better dialogue window than it is in Lumetri, where it was just kind of like, oh, I have to find the slider. Like, nah, it's like, in fact, it even gives you every option. It's like, okay, here are the main colors I see. Which one do you want to affect? You know. So if I click
yeah.
on this one, you can see I really increased the saturation in this one hue right here. Let's see if we can decrease it.
Yeah, it's a very creative, clever way to get different colors without like obviously doing insane masking, right? Like you're picking like different shades of light, targeting that, and then
Yeah.
changing the hue. So that's really cool. And that is actually going to put us right at time.
Oh yeah.
So nice job. Look at that. It flew by. That's always a great sign that you're locked in. You're like, oh, wow, the stream's over. But David, thank you so much for showing us the difference between, well, I wouldn't say the difference, but just the different levels of color grading, right? Like the basic, the God mode, what was the other one you had? The urban legend.
Let's see right here, urban legend. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great. This was a great tutorial on just showing you the different ways to color videos and how deep you can go to it, as opposed to like just getting something quick and done and like having your clients happy, right? It all depends on the treatment and the end result. But this was very thorough and very educating. So thank you for showing us this, man. It was really a truly awesome stream.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me. And dude, listen, like I'll talk everyone's ear off. I talk a lot. So yeah, man.
That's
It's
awesome.
such a treat being able to again, like grow with this program. It
Yeah.
really is how it feels.
That's a great way to put it. So don't go anywhere, though. We will be right back with Ryan Selby's File News Show. So that's coming up in about 3 minutes. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes, and then Ryan Selby will get a show started. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thanks, everybody. Bye.